Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about the how do you actually go researching on the media consumption habits of your target audience. I think it's a very pertinent topic because of the visual that you're seeing right now. And I really think this is the story for a lot of B2B marketing which is out there. And the reason for that is, as B2B as compared to B2C, right? So the audience is more sophisticated, more savvy with respect to options. They want to really take their time. The decisions are of higher value, which leads people really taking time and to get into the funnel. So this is like a quick video on why is this important, and then we get on to the specifics. Like when you talk about where our target audience is spending time, it's search, social, YouTube, podcast, newsletters, and third-party platforms. And this is like a framework. Like when you're making your overall strategy with respect to how you should really go about where is your audience and how do you actually research on what they are doing on this, right? So this I've seen that there is the need for a framework, and these are my thoughts on how you should go about doing that. So this is me, and I lead Web-stepup, which is an agency based out of Mumbai. We specialize in marketing for publishers and B2B companies. And I really think that before we really start the outreach, this is something which I discuss with my team, with prospects, with clients. The the higher the time you spend in really understanding your ideal customer profile and what this your profile is doing. So it's important because of the efforts, right? The efforts that you spend in outreach and partnerships, right? That's going to reduce, like, those are going to be more productive if you do this research well. The other is your spends, right? So you would obviously spend more money on media where your audience is present more, or the tactics which will result in those kind of interactions with your target audience, right? And the third reason is, I think it's a very pertinent one with respect to digital medium, because there are always new ways in which people are looking for things. There are always new hashtags which get followed. There are always new third party products where your audience is spending time. So you need to research on what your audience is doing. It's important to have that kind of mindset. Without that, your efforts are not going to be super productive. So the first bucket is search. And I mean, I've seen presentations and videos where search is not considered when we are talking about media consumption. So I really think it should, when we are talking about like websites, portals, YouTube channels, newsletters, we should also consider search and social media in the same breath, right? Because our audience is spending a lot of time on Google. So in this whole B2B context, what we need to understand is what is the ideal customer profile. Whoever is the ideal customer profile, how is he or she spending, like what kind of searches and are they doing, and what is the volume of those searches, and of course then yes, what are you responding to those searches by that kind of content. So let me take an example here. So this is a HRMS tool, and these are all the modules which are present. It's pretty representative of what a modern HRMS would contain. Right now, let's assume that from the marketing which has happened in the past, this company figures out that yes, the best people would be the ones, leaving aside the usual metrics of employee size and industry, these where they think the ideal customer profile is from based on their experience. The other thing is, if they from their interactions with their past clients, they think that people who are HR heads who are very enthusiastic about HR analytics. Suppose they say yes, people who are very enthusiastic about HR analytics, they tend to have, or they tend to have a leaning towards my product. Okay, so if this is the insight, then yes, your ideal customer profile is the one who cares about HR analytics. And so that person is doing those kind of searches on Google, right? So that kind of thought has to first happen before we start doing keyword research, and of course, the entire SEO process. So when you talk about SEO, it's for the entire website, But when we are talking about specifically with respect to B2B, right, in the light of what we are discussing, it really means that understanding who your ideal customer profile is, and then zeroing down on the kind of searches that person would be doing, right? So they are if the job is to find out like what are people searching around HR analytics, which correlates to your ideal customer profile, right? So there are tools like I'm on this particular tool called Topically, and it will help you to play around with the various buckets related to HR analytics, right? So it is telling me that with respect to, if you look at this bucket, these are some relevant things: workforce planning, predictive analytics. So these are things which people, which HR managers would care about, right? And this is a pretty nice tool. You can play around with it and see which buckets are really relevant for you, right? And which it gives you an idea. Look, for example, Tableau, right? It's telling you that Tableau is among the most searched and related buckets when it comes through HR analytics, right? So it shows that your target audience has a good has good brand awareness when it comes to Tableau. It knows about Tableau, right? So it gives you some hints with respect to the content that you could be doing. So remember, these are the what you call the evergreen searches. And yes, there are keyword research tools which will tell you the number of these searches happening from your target geography. So you can then plan your content around this, right? So and remember, so when I say evergreen, you can also look at searches which are trending, right? So when you talk about you talk about evergreen and you talk about trending. So trending is things which are people are searching in the last 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, in the last week something has come up, right? So those searches you can like research more on them on Google Trend. So social is the next bucket, and just like on search, we said that we want to reach out to people who are searching about HR analytics. Here we are going to say that yes, we are going to be reaching out to people who follow those kind of topics, who consume those kind of blog posts, who are following those kind of influencers, right? So that's how the lens changes. So so what that entails, that what that means is that we have to look at people who are, first of all, before we start doing any kind of social post, it definitely means that we have to start looking at the number of what kind of posts are happening. I mean, that goes without saying. But now in terms of understanding media consumption, so we know that for HR analytics we have so many followers. So these are people who are, yes, directly following this. It gives you an indication of the interest. So this HR, and there would be other, there could be other related hashtags. So it could be, maybe I'm just thinking, Tableau in HR or HR predictive analytics. So we have to really combine all of these, and then this will give you the, and after you combine all the follows, yes, then okay, these many people are directly following this hashtag. I mean, that's not just the people who are consuming. Remember, there'll be maybe 10 times that audience which is consuming content related to HR analytics but may not be following them, right? But we have to go with some benchmarks here, right? So that's why I'm proposing this kind of a method. So that is on LinkedIn. So on Twitter also you can have like a similar analytics. You can look at how many people are, what kind of posts are happening, and yes, there would be. I mean, although you're not getting a number here, but yeah, there are tools which will tell you what is the reach of these kind of hashtags, and what are the other related hashtags also. This gives you an idea of the base that you have once you start posting about this. So remember, when you're talking about media consumption research, we are talking about, we have to, just like in search, we said yes, we so many people are searching for this every month. Similar to this, we have to have some idea of that this is the kind of following that this specific hashtag or this topic related to your ideal customer profile, this is the kind of following that it will have, and also the specifics related to that, right? So HR, just like there would be multiple keywords related to HR analytics. Similarly, there could be multiple, things related to HR analytics which also need to be looked at. So both these angles have to be explored, and then you get an idea of the realistic audience that you can get and the specifics with respect to how they are interacting with the medium. And the last one, which we should not forget, is influencer. That just like in B2C, B2B influencers are really picking up. So yes, there are multiple tools to find out, who the likely influencers could be. But very quickly, this is a free tool, Follower Wonk, and what it will do is pretty much you can zero down on, say, people who have, let's take bios, And let's see if there are people who have HR analytics in their bios, right? And you can then understand more, and then maybe zero down on some influencers, partners with which whom you can work, right? So just like people are following topics, hashtags, people are following these influencers who are related to HR analytics. Hence, it's important to understand the specifics of this media consumption. So yes, this is the third bucket. And when people talk about to be collaborations, they generally talk about either YouTube or podcasts or newsletters. So now to understand, so when you talk about podcasts, when you talk about newsletters, you're talking about YouTube channels, I've seen that a good starting point, a free tool is Google Ads. Right? So when you're doing a display campaign, you are trying to find out, you're trying to find out destinations where your ads can be seen. Right? So similarly, you can put HR analytics here in the display research tool. I'm in Google Ads right now, and it will tell you the YouTube channels, right? It will tell you the websites. Of course you'll have to choose from here. It will tell you if there are any apps. So so just like we did in search on social, this tool will tell you, yes, how many, like when you go into the specifics, you'll find out that you'll get to know what is the average number of visitors who are visiting these channels or portals, right? So so just like in search and social, you have to understand how many of these are coming, and what are the various ways in which they are interacting. So it could be a website, YouTube videos, right? So the specifics of that interaction, right? So there are some free tools also, like Spark Toro is one of them. It will give you more, more insights with respect to the, so what we're interested right now, right? Which is what are the kind of websites that these people frequent, etc. Right? People who care about HR analytics. But what you've seen from Spark Tarot is that depending on geography, sometimes the data can be quite sparse. So that's the issue, right? I'm sure as they get more and more entrenched in the market, their database will also increase. But yes, this is also like a starting point. So yes, whether it is whichever tool that you find or that you're using, even through manually, if you're trying to find out, who are the right YouTubers, podcasters, and who are the influencers with whom you can partner. So yes, that was the third bucket. We move on to the last bucket, which is third party platforms, and this is where you can say you have a captive. So why am I saying this is a captive audience? And I also did mention that there are some gems here when it comes to third party platforms. Hence, it's important to research on what are the possible options. I'm going to be taking the example of BridgeGap, which is a platform that we operate, and it's a B2B platform for product companies who want to reach out to business professionals and marketers who are evaluating tools, right? So the idea is that if visitors who come to such platforms, and if they are searching for, right, a certain topic, and if as a business you can be in front of such a visitor who is obviously looking for this kind of information, this is a pretty good way of reaching out to your audience, right? So that's why we are mentioning this as a separate bucket. Yes, those were the four buckets when it comes to online media consumption: search, social media, YouTube, podcast, newsletters, and third party platforms. And I hope you've got a framework for approaching this. I mean, that was the objective of the video. A framework where it's possible for you to estimate, like, I mean, the first start with the ideal customer profile, and then reach down to those numbers that correlate to that ideal customer profile on each of these buckets, and also the specifics of the interaction. Once you have these two, then yes, you can start making a plan with respect to how you can reach out to these audiences, what kind of content needs to be done, and so on and so forth. Thank you.